He won't wake up if we stay quiet.
Nibbler, scat! Why is it so impossible for two people to be completely alone?
Are you and another person finding it impossible to be completely alone?
Now what?
It's targeted advertising.
Can you shut it off?
Only if I cut off my arm.
I'll get a knife.
As we advance through the digital age and technological revolution, online marketing is becoming more prevalent, notably targeted marketing. By definition, targeted advertising is a way for marketers to present consumers with ads that cater to their specific traits, interests, and shopping behavior. This allows for personal ads to cut through the sea of general billboard ads that consumers might be used to seeing and tend to overlook. We are constantly being monitored by websites and technology with regards to our interests, dislikes, habits, whereabouts, and relationships for the purpose of targeted advertising online. For example, talking about having a baby and then later seeing an ad for diapers is an example of targeted advertising. Especially with the emergence of artificial intelligence, or AI, advertising is more targeted than ever before, since large companies like Facebook and Google have enormous amounts of information on each of their users, which is all collected and organized automatically.
You ready?
Yes, sir.
Data shows that 71% of customers prefer personal ads. Personalization in digital marketing can boost revenue by 15%, and that 44% of customers will become repeat buyers from ad personalization. However, is this mass data collection ethical? The ability to pinpoint which individuals might find interest in an ad raises the question of whether this method of advertising alters a person's first-order desires, which then could interfere with their second-order desires or even their free will entirely. For instance, many of the ethical issues discussed with targeted advertising revolve around whether an individual makes a purchase by their own decision, and how heavily influenced that decision is by targeted advertising. Free will refers to an individual's freedom of thought, their ability to have opinions about their desires. If an advertiser can precisely pinpoint what a consumer will be interested in, is their free will being threatened by bombarding them with products they are likely to purchase? This is especially important when it comes to certain brands, as different companies will have different advertising budgets and can therefore afford to advertise at varying scales.
$26,000 worth of sides? What are these sides? They cure cancer?
Therefore, a consumer's individual autonomy might be threatened by their inability to neutralize the manipulative power of targeted advertising, which can make a consumer believe a product is right for them. This is especially important when it comes to services that make it difficult or even impossible for a user to opt out of data collection. Determinism can't be very strongly argued for this issue, since it's possible that the consumer would have never come across a certain product by a certain brand and feel so compelled to purchase it. Instead, they would likely have gone through a natural browsing and discovery of different products to find the best brand, best features, and whatever else caters to their preferences. We could also look at this issue through an entirely different lens, such as that of John Stuart Mill's utilitarianism, which essentially promotes actions that build up to the happiness of everyone. In other words, the greatest good for the greatest number of people. This is a very consequence-focused philosophy, but for a utilitarian, the happiness of a community is greater than the happiness of a single individual.
Here, let's try this.
There are 5 workers on this track and 1 over there. Here are the levers to switch the tracks. Make a choice.
It's tricky. I mean, on the one hand, if you ascribe to a purely utilitarian worldview...
So let's examine the potential good for the people involved in targeted marketing. If we refer back to the data that the majority of consumers prefer personalized ads, we could say that most customers are relatively satisfied with personalization, since marketing campaigns will tend to be more appealing to them as they directly cater to the interests and traits of each individual. In the eyes of Mill, this would definitely justify the morality of targeted marketing. Furthermore, data shows that ad personalization will boost revenue by 15%, which is obviously good for the business and will allow the company to keep growing and thriving. On top of that, targeted advertising is simply more cost-effective, since there is no need to waste money on showing uninterested people an ad.
Didn't you have ads in the 20th century?
Well, sure, but not in our dreams. Only on TV and radio. and in magazines, and movies, and at ball games, and on buses, and milk cartons, and t-shirts, and bananas, and written on the sky.
Traditional marketing, such as billboard or subway ads, can be costly and difficult to measure the success of. Advertisers also cannot be completely sure who is seeing the ad, which makes it hard to know which types of people are likely to become customers. So, in the eyes of the business, targeted marketing makes the most sense and will lead to the greatest good for the company. In other words, it seems that Mill would be in support of targeted advertising, since it provides good to both the consumer and the business. So targeted marketing, while effective, arguably threatens the free will and autonomy of the individual because of the personalization and boundless data collection. But on the other hand, this quickly growing tactic provides the greatest good for the greatest number of people. So it really depends what you're more concerned about, privacy or effectiveness.